Hello, my loves, and welcome to this week's episode of I Think I Need Therapy. I actually had my own therapy session yesterday morning. I don't really like having therapy in the morning, but because I'm in a different country and in a whole different time zone, I have to have it in the morning. If I could have it at night, I would, but they kind of close. Anyways, my therapist is from back home and she is the most amazing person ever. I aspire to be her, honestly, because she is just so good at what she does, and is just incredible. She should be. We pay her big bucks. So yeah. But I had that yesterday, and the reason why I say I don't like having therapy in the morning is because I wake up in the morning and I'm always in a good mood, typically. And so talking about all of the stuff that I hate talking about and that is makes me unhappy, and everything that is a weight on me, talking about that and facing it in the morning just takes away from that good mood normally. Not always. Sometimes therapy does empower me, but a lot of times it is facing everything that I try to avoid most of the time, and then it's right at the start of my day. That is literally the point of my therapy right now, is facing the things that I'm avoiding and that I don't want to feel and that I push away. So it's good, and it's good to have in the morning at a time where normally I would try and avoid things. So there are benefits of it, obviously, having at that time. But I just yesterday, it affected me a lot. I kind of went through the session and then tried, we wrapped it up so I would be okay to go about the rest of my day. But then I got to maybe 5 o'clock or something, and then it was a flip of a switch, and I just those emotions just kind of came back and were hey again, I'm still here and you didn't feel me. It's kind of I invited them up, and then they then kind of just pushed them to the side, and then they were wait, you invited me here, let me be felt, listen to me. And that's okay, but it was just at a very inconvenient time, and it just really sucked that those emotions came back up. But I did actually graduate therapy, which I know in one of my episodes I was how do you graduate therapy? And then I literally realized that I just graduated therapy. But I didn't understand it, because I'm how can you be done with therapy? How can you graduate? But for me, why I graduated, I say it in quotation marks, is because I was going through a certain I was getting treated for a specific mental illness, for PTSD. Yeah, I've shared that I have PTSD. I haven't shared why I have PTSD yet, which I will get to in a later episode, but we're not going to get into that today. But I have PTSD undiagnosed, so my therapist can't diagnose me, which is a whole other thing, because I chose not to go down the route of actually getting diagnosed with PTSD because there was no reason to. For me, therapist got me to do the questionnaires, did the whole screening, whatever, and then was you meet the scores for PTSD, but she's not licensed to diagnose, but she was just going to treat me for PTSD anyways. And the reason why I see a point to getting diagnosed, with my eating disorder, I was officially diagnosed, and the reason for that was so I could get treatment and could get the proper medical treatment and whatnot, and medications and all of that. So that's a reason why to get diagnosed. But because I was already getting treated for PTSD and she was already going to treat me for it, I was well, there's no point. And I'm still going to say I have PTSD because I literally did. Met every criteria for that. Anyways, I graduated from my PTSD therapy because I think PTSD is one of the only mental illnesses like you can specifically treat, and like they know how to actually like treat that 100%, maybe not 100%, but like effectively treat it. And so the therapy was called CPT. I've done CBT before. CBT is cognitive behavioral therapy. This was cognitive processing therapy, I'm pretty sure. That's what it's called. And with CPT, it's like a 15-week plan. 15 weeks of weekly sessions. But the thing is, why it works is because you're facing that avoidance that I was talking about, and like everything you try and avoid, all of the PTSD, all of the trauma, all of those heavy emotions, everything that you're just trying to push down and push away and like not feel and not deal with, the whole point of it is to actually feel everything and let that have space. And the trauma, like, literally had to face the trauma head on. It was actually, it's like a very intense therapy, but very effective because it's very structured. And between every session, every week, like I had weekly therapy. That did not make sense. I had daily homework. So every single day I was doing like a worksheet on the trauma. Every single day I was writing my journal about it and basing that off the journal prompt she gave me. And then every session was going through that homework and what came up and what emotions and what reactions came up and, you know, different things I experienced throughout the week and kind of working through that. And it was very, very structured, which is very different from just regular therapy sessions that people go through in my previous regular therapy sessions, because it wasn't like, oh, what are you feeling today or what are you going through this week? It was just like, no, you're on a very structured timeline of how to process the trauma and get through the trauma and actually get past all of the avoidance and get past all of the manufactured emotions that you're making, and then really feel like that sadness and feel that pain and feel all of those real deep emotions that you're trying so hard not to feel. And so that's what I went through the past, like, I took longer than 15 weeks, or maybe it's a 12-week, but I took longer because different traumas kept coming up. Like, we focused on one main one, and then different ones kept coming up through the therapy, and I was like, wait, I need to process this too. And then sometimes, like, I just couldn't do the homework, and then we'd have to add another week so I could get through the homework. But it is very, very hard journey. Incredibly fucking hard journey. But so worth it. So worth it. Now that I graduated from that, I can see that, because the progress I made, like every single week I would do the same questionnaire, like the PTSD questionnaire. And every single week you would see like, well, they went significantly up because I had to face like all those feelings. And then after they went really high, they started to get lower and lower and lower. And then by like the last 3 to 4 weeks, they were like literally at 3 and 4. They were so low. And like they've stayed low. And just like the difference between handling different situations and handling different thoughts and different, you know, things that triggers, even like the way I can handle it is so different than it was before, because I've actually like processed everything and I've allowed that space for all of those emotions that I was pushing down and pushing away. And so now in my therapy, I'm doing this for other emotions that I've significantly pushed down for years. And I think I will constantly be finding things, but now I'm going to a point where I realize like I don't actually have to be in therapy for the rest of my life. Like, I've learned so much over the past, I don't know, how long have I been going to therapy? 5 years? Yeah, I've learned so much over the past 5 years from being in therapy, like, fucking weekly, that now I have, like, these skills, and I've built the resilience, and I've built, like, that confidence in myself to be able to handle whatever life throws at me. And I know that, okay, if something really does come up, like, I can just reach out to my therapist, and I have that confidence in myself, and I also have that care for myself to be able to do that for myself. And I know that that will help me. And with that session that I had yesterday, it was just like, at the end of it, it kind of made me so emotionally like drained, and I was just like, I just wanted to shut off. I was like, I don't want to feel any emotions. I don't want to talk about any emotions anymore. Like, I was so over it, and I was like, no more digging in to these deep emotional parts of me. Like, I'm done. And I think it's so important when that comes up to recognize it, because in the past that's come up and it's just been like, I felt like I had to dig in, and I was like, felt like I had to ignore that part of me that was saying no more, and kept pushing past it and trying to, figure out why I was feeling that and blah, 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 blah. But now I've realized even that emotion and that reaction is something that I need to honor, and you don't have to push yourself to dig into your emotions all the time. I think honoring your feelings, honoring your emotions as a whole, and treating all of those emotions equally is really, really, really helpful, and something that I've realized is really important. Not to like ignore those voices and picking and choosing what ones I want to listen to and which ones I want to ignore. Just honoring all of them, honoring all of these emotions and these feelings that come up and they arise, and whenever they do. And I think there is obviously times where it's like, you know what, these emotions are coming up right now, like this trauma, like something triggered me, or maybe just like a sudden wave of sadness comes upon me, and I'm in like a meeting, or I'm in class, or I'm in practice, and it's like the most inconvenient time for these emotions to be starting to come. And at that point, it's like, you can't 100% honor those feelings and just feel them out. So what happened yesterday was that, I didn't go be like incredibly happy and just like flip of a switch and put this like whole fake personality on. I didn't do that, but I basically just let those feelings know, like, okay, this is what I'm feeling right now, but can I just set this aside for this time being? I will take the time later to address those feelings, address this trigger, address whatever the heck is coming up. But right now, I need to focus on what I'm doing and get through this right now. And so that's what I have to do a lot in certain situations, is just be like, okay, I'm feeling this, but no, I just need to set this aside for a minute. And just like, this might sound wackadoodle, okay, I know that, but it's what I live by. Is the way my brain likes to work, and the therapy that I do is just telling your brain and telling those thoughts, telling those parts of you, like, I see you, I hear you, and I'm just asking you to step aside for now. And that, for me, it's like, you're honoring those emotions, you're honoring those parts that are coming up, and you're just saying, like, I hear you, like, I see that you are feeling this way, I see that you are experiencing something here, but I'm not able to process that right now, so I need to focus where I am here and now, and then process that later. And that's okay, but I think it's just important that you don't push those feelings down, and you don't just like lock them away. Don't give them any attention. You're just like, oh shit, I feel sad right now. Okay, push that all the way deep down into this dark hole and tunnel, and then mask it with something else, something completely different, and then just never even unlock it or take it out of that deep dark hole. Like, that is very detrimental, because then those feelings are there and they're just like, what the fuck? Like, they're gonna try and keep pushing their way out of this cage, of this tunnel that you locked them in, and they're gonna keep like coming up constantly if you keep trying to shove them back down into the tunnel and shove them away. So by taking that time to focus where you're at in the moment and get through whatever you're going through. But then later when you're in a safe space, like oftentimes, like I've had to, oh my God, sometimes that I had to do this, it was like the strength it had took out of me to like sit in that room and not bawl my eyes out. A lot of times it's happened, but I just had to get through that. And then when I came home, it was like, okay, now I can cry. Now I can sit, feel whatever was coming up, what was trying to arising for me in that moment, and just feel that out when I'm in my room, when I'm in the safe space alone, and I feel comfortable to actually feel that. And that's like completely fine to do. That's healthy. And when people say, honor your emotions, honor your feelings, feel them out, I know I say this a lot, but this is what I mean by that, is honor them when you feel safe to. You don't have to 24/7 when they come up right instantly. You don't have to be like, okay, I'm just gonna bawl my eyes out now. You don't have to do that. You can ask them to step aside and be like, okay, I see that I'm feeling this way, but in this moment I need to get through this meeting. I need to get through the practice. I need to just get through work right now, or even just like go to the bathroom for a minute. Like oftentimes if this comes up, I'm like, okay, I really, really, really just need to cry. And so I'll just go to the bathroom for a few minutes and let myself feel that, and then be like, okay, put myself together, go back, do what I gotta do, and then later, if it's still there, feel it out some more. And honestly, for me, what's really hard, and I was on a call the other day with a bunch of other mental health advocates, and one girl asked, because it was like this panel and some like famous or like influential or some other people who are mental health advocates were answering questions on this panel. And so one girl asked them what she should do, because being a mental health advocate and being in this organization that we're in is called The Hidden Opponent. She was like, being in this, like, we're supposed to be there for other people. We're supposed to be the ones taking care of everyone else and like helping others, right? And so what if we're the ones struggling ourselves and like we are not doing well? Like, how do you take care of someone else when you're not doing well? And that's something I have a hard time with, because like there's a lot of times I'm not doing well. Like, I'm not okay, and I still feel like I need to be there for everyone else. And what was said in this panel was that taking care of yourself is also taking care of other people. And the reason for this is because when you take care of yourself and when you like honor these feelings, honor these emotions, and not push them away and not go through this whole spiral of avoidance and all of that, when you actually honor those feelings and you're taking care of yourself and you're putting in the work to get through whatever is coming up for you, and you go to therapy and you do the work and whatnot, when you're taking care of yourself in that way and doing what is best for you and what you really need for whatever you're going through, when you do that, it inspires other people to do the same, and it inspires them to take care of themselves and be like, oh wait, she's not doing well, and she's actually going to therapy, she's actually trying to get better. And like, then maybe they'll see how that's helping you, and maybe they'll see how you can do that so they can also do that, and inspires them and kind of empowers them as well. And I think that was such an impactful statement, impactful message from that meeting, and I wanted to share that here too, because it like related to me a lot. And like, knowing that you can be there for others, like being there for yourself is also being there for others. And I think you have to realize how much capacity you have for other people's emotions, because sometimes it's like if you're dealing with depression or in that depressed state, you don't even have room for your own, for anything, for your own thoughts, for your own emotions. It's like so draining, and you're constantly drained and you're below this level. And being there and having to like comfort other people and be there for them is just a lot more, and you don't even have the capacity to do so. And when you're in that place, I think it's so much more important, rather than trying to take on everyone else's emotions when you can't even take on your own, to just let them know, like, hey, like, I am here for you. Give them that love. Tell them, like, you hear them, you see them, and you will listen. But you need to focus on you need to focus on yourself. You need to get yourself better and take care of yourself. And maybe someone is saying something, like, there's been times where my friends are going through the same thing I am, and they're emotionally dumping to me, but that is super triggering. And I've had to tell them, like, hey, like, that actually is really triggering. Can we not discuss these topics, because it triggers me? Know that I love you, know that I'm here for you, but right now, like, that triggers me as well. And so if we can stay away from those topics, that would be really helpful. And that way you are advocating for yourself, you're taking care of yourself, but still letting them know that you're there for them. But you just need to have that separation right now. You need to have that boundary right now for yourself. And creating those boundaries for you is so important. And it doesn't mean that you're not being a good friend, or you're not taking care of others in the way that you feel like you should. That's not what it means. It just means that you are putting yourself first and taking care of yourself first. Because even if you're, like, for example, for me, if that person was trauma dumping to me, or like trying to go for support, and they're saying all this stuff, like, it's happened where they expressed all this stuff, and I was just sitting there, like, crying, like, silently tearing up, because I was like, this is so triggering, like, and then I couldn't even listen to them because I was just going through all of my experiences in my head, and all of my emotions were coming up, and I couldn't listen to them or understand really have that space for them. And so I wasn't even being a good support. I wasn't even being what they needed at that time. And so by creating that boundary, I can be there for them to the extent that I am capable of being. And that is more impactful than trying to be there for someone when you literally can't, and you don't have the capacity to, because then it's not as effective, and it's not as you're really not supporting them in a way that they probably need. So with all of this, I think just know that you are really strong, and you deserve the credit. You deserve the recognition for all that you are doing for yourself. And recognize that if you are going through avoidance, and if you're avoiding certain feelings, and you're pushing certain thoughts and feelings down and away, recognize that is you trying to protect yourself. Those parts of you that are avoiding and pushing those different thoughts and feelings away, they're trying to protect you. They are working for you, because even if it seems like maybe they're harmful or detrimental or bad things, even if it seems that way, your brain and your thoughts and your emotions and everything has a purpose, and their purpose is to protect you and make you feel the best and make you love. And they work out of love. Your brain works out of love for you. Your whole body works out of love for you, and it's every cell in your body. Its purpose is to keep you alive. Its purpose is to protect you from any harm. That is what our bodies are built to do. Every single cell, organ, neuron, whatever in your body is working for you. And so I think you deserve to recognize that. Take a step back, take a minute to just realize that your whole body is working for you, even if sometimes it feels like it's working against you. It's doing everything out of love. I think you should recognize that and just give yourself some credit for all that you have done where you are today. give yourself that credit, give yourself that recognition, because you are so strong, and I want to let you all know how proud I am of you. I may not know you, or maybe I do know you, but whoever you are, wherever you are, just know that I am so incredibly proud of you, and I thank you so much for being here today with me. Just know that it's okay to honor your feelings, and it's okay to go to therapy, and it's also okay to graduate from therapy. Everyone is experiencing this life for their first time, and sometimes it's a scary thing, but it's also a beautiful thing. So I want you to know that I love you very, very much, and I thank you for listening to this episode, making it this far if you have, and I will talk to you again next Tuesday, as always. Okay, bye guys. Bum ba ba bum ba bum 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 ba. Yeah. Bye 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 bye.